Okay, so I don't know where CW is. I know he was having some trouble signing in. I mean, we gave him all the sign-in information.
David, can we actually make this quick? I've got a lot of work to do stripping Blood Ocean out of everything.
Yeah. Releasing a disease into the game right before a global pandemic was not a great look.
Poppy, you should be taking this time to recharge and stay healthy, like me. You know, I haven't left my compound in like 3 months because I'm so afraid of getting sick.
He's too important to the world.
Oh, Joe, you don't need to say that. But put it in the notes.
No, don't put it in the notes, Joe.
I have an idea.
It's not relevant to anything we're talking.
What if, instead of stripping Blood Ocean out of the game, I build a vaccine?
What? That would take you weeks. What do you... I feel like you're inventing work for yourself.
I feel like you're a cashed-up bogan.
A cashed-up bogan? David, Poppy is being mean in Australian. Is the meeting almost over?
The meeting hasn't even started.
Welcome to Gimmicks, a podcast about the high-concept, experimental, structure-breaking gimmick episodes of TV, from musicals to bottle episodes to quarantine specials done entirely over Zoom. I'm Derek B. Gale, and who's with you today?
Hey, it's Crashed Up Bogan, David Arnold.
Yes, we are talking about Mythic Quest, a Mythic Quest special specifically. It is technically Season 1, Episode 10, and it is entitled Quarantine. Real quick, for those of you unfamiliar with Mythic Quest, it is an Apple TV Plus workplace comedy that began in February 2020. I wonder what could have been happening in the world right around that time.
Yeah.
It's currently ongoing, just wrapped up its third season. It is created by Charlie Day, Megan Gans, and Rob McElhenney, who all work together on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Plenty of connections with that show as we continue. And the show follows a fictional video game studio that's, of course, full of colorful comedic characters, and that studio produces a popular MMORPG called Mythic Quest. Now, David, what is your history with Mythic Quest?
So, like many folks, I was on the Ted Lasso bandwagon. Shout out to past Gimmicks episode on Ted Lasso's Beard episode.
Yeah.
And just because we are like truly min-maxers in my family, once we had sort of bit the bullet and got onto Apple TV, we watched every single thing that was offered. And there's some real stinkers in the catalog, but Mythic Quest really stood out to us. Like you described in the opening, it's a workplace comedy, but in a lot of ways, it tells a story that's a lot different than a workplace comedy. It tells a story that's a lot different than being about video games, and truly is about these central characters who are very much a dyad of yin and yang with each other. And that's Ian and Poppy. And I just couldn't get enough of these folks. I have recommended this show to pretty much everyone in my life. I have bought Apple TV Plus subscriptions for coworkers to watch this to the point that I got enough of my team watching it that we had a serious conversation on whether or not I was Ian, which was devastating, just truly devastating to be talking through, as he is a massive narcissist. But I guess so am I.
That's fantastic. Oh, that's great. I mean, I wonder if I feel like that's probably similar stories, Zeeble, of the Ted Lasso train thing. Cause like people got Apple because of Ted Lasso. And I feel like, yeah, there wasn't, at least when it started, there wasn't a lot of content on Apple, and most of it, I feel like I never heard great things. It was always like morning show is okay. And that's like the best that there is. But yeah, this was one that I didn't watch it immediately. I think because nothing else other than Ted Lasso really seemed to appeal to me. So I was just like, maybe nothing else on Apple is actually any good. So I didn't watch it when it originally started. And also I never got into It's Always Sunny. Like that's a show that I appreciate, and the stuff that I've seen it, I'm like, I get it, but it's just never really clicked with me. So like there really wasn't anything about it that was appealing. I don't know why I eventually watched it. I think I just heard enough good things, that it was just like, fine, I guess I'll watch it. So, I watched this. This actually will be a thing that I talk about when we talk about the episode. I watched this in like the beginning of 2022, I think, which is far away from the 2020 height of the pandemic this was filmed, and it was a very different vibe watching it then than I think it was if you were to watch it at the time. But we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that you bring up It's Always Sunny, and it's hard not to with the production team. But I have never seen an episode of It's Always Sunny. Everyone is like, you'll love it, and I'm sure that I would. But just add it to the pile of like media I just haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah, it's a very different vibe from this show. And I do think it's interesting because I think it's sort of like, I can see how Mythic Quest is sort of like Ted Lasso plus It's Always Sunny, because it's sort of like Ted Lasso with a lot more of a cynical edge to it. Not to say that Mythic Quest is cynical, but like there is more cynicism in the show than there is Ted Lasso for sure. Yeah. And it definitely is a little edgier and a little more heightened reality. There's a lot more, like some of the characters are broader and more surreal in this show than in like Ted Lasso. Like it's not always played for realism. And it's a thing that I appreciate because I think it does give it a different vibe than a lot of these other, like, there's a trend of like comedy that's like sort of your comfort feel good comedy right now. That's like sort of a trend, and I'm into it. But I feel like Mythic Quest is sort of like toes the line between that, where it's like characters love each other and hug at the end of the day, but also some of them are still real huge assholes.
Oh yeah,
and like that's kind of their appeal, you know. So it's an interesting balance in this show in that way.
Yeah, hard to imagine Danny Pudi's character, Brad from Monetization, showing up in Ted Lasso. Because he's absolutely demonic in Mythic Quest, which is great. Like the show needs that.
Yeah, it's such a fun contrast. Like he is like a truly irredeemable character, and that's kind of like what his whole vibe is. In contrast to the other characters who, like, you know, there's goodness in them. They could grow, and it's like, no, this guy's always going to be a horrible person, and that's just everybody just accepts that and has to roll with it.
And in the frame of a workplace comedy, you need that, right? You need that sort of irredeemable bad guy in the office to like drive some of the work forward for the plot. And I think how they do it and how they speak about just the very job he has makes that so interesting. But you're absolutely right that it sort of fits in Apple TV Plus when you think about the other offerings that they've got as well.
It's an interesting show. I think, you know, the other thing that's interesting about it, the only other thing I wanted to bring up before we start talking about this episode and stuff, because there's plenty of context for this one. But I also think it's interesting that this is a show, one of those examples that I like of TV that, like, even though it only has like 9 episodes a season, they still do a lot of really cool kind of structure breaking type stuff. Like there's a whole smorgasbord of options that you could choose to do an episode of this podcast on, which makes it particularly interesting that like you chose this one out of all of them. I understand why.
Yeah. When I was thinking about it, you know, there's a once a season sort of genre break that does a sort of historical episode. And the first 2 seasons are broadly not about the characters we know and love, which is just a fascinating choice. And in season 1 comes back, probably my favorite episode of television ever, Dark Quiet Death. Is just fantastic. And I'm not covering it because I think this is more interesting to talk about. But that show is just chef's kiss amazing.
Yeah, that episode is I agree. I think that's my favorite episode of the show. It's probably most people's favorite episode of the show. Yeah, that one I can totally see, you know, revisiting that show and covering that episode at another point. But it's like interesting for radically different reasons than this one is. But I think this is still a really good choice because this is a type of gimmick episode that I wanted to do at some point, and I think that this might be arguably the best version of like a Zoom episode. I think you could argue.
You know, it's interesting, Derek, because I was thinking about that very question. And so while I think Quarantine is an absolute gem of an episode, it really captures the feel of what's going on in all of our minds and hearts in May of 2020. I think that the best version of this sort of computer point of view might actually be Connection Lost from Modern Family. That's told completely from Claire's laptop's point of view.
It's a good episode.
It's a great episode, and I think it does this better, but it wasn't written, shot by actors, lit by actors, makeup done by actors in 3 weeks. So this is by far the more impressive artistic achievement, if not the best version of a Zoom story.
I agree with you. Yeah. That Modern Family episode, and it is interesting that they did, you know, a Zoom episode or their version of it in like 2015 before that became before everyone even really knew what Zoom was. Like that was the thing where if you worked at a place that used it, you knew it, but you know, I'm sure my mom didn't really know what Zoom was in 2015. So it's hilarious. And the other fun fact, Megan Gans, who co-created this show, co-wrote this episode, co-wrote that episode of Modern Family.
That's cool.
Yeah. So fun connection there. But I'm sure it was connection lost. But I'm sure it was like a radically different experience, obviously, because like you said, everything about this episode, the technical marvel that is this episode, is really a part of its story. So just a little bit more about this episode specifically. The episode's called Quarantine, like we said, originally aired May 22nd, 2020, obviously the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, arguably. It was also about like 3.5 months after the first season finale. So only a few months after, but then it's also like the last episode that they have for a year, I think, until the next special comes up. And then it's like a couple more months before the second season. So it's in the midst of this really big gap. Synopsis per IMDb is just fun. I always like reading these because sometimes they're hilarious. I think this one's kind of fun because it just throws out everything. It is, with the world in the middle of a pandemic, Ian and the team get together via video chat. David plays Brad in Street Fighter for a wager more than money. Poppy feels lonely. And that's it. That's where it stops.
Oh, my Poppy, she does feel lonely. Oh, yeah.
Beautiful. This episode, like I said, written by Megan Gans, Rob McElhenney, and also David Hornsby, who haven't brought up. He's not one of the co-creators of the show, but he does play the similarly named David Brittlesby in this show. And like Gans and like everybody else in the show, he worked with them on It's Always Sunny. He's like an actor in that show and like a writer. I think he's a story editor too. So we're all from it's all incestuous over there in the It's Always Sunny world. So, and then Rob McElhenney directed this episode. He directs a ton of episodes of this show. So not really a big surprise. And I don't know who else that they could really get to direct this for what they're doing. Because the gimmick of this, we've talked around it, but this is like a Zoom episode of a show, which it's all completely done over like some version of video chat, right? It's also a COVID episode, which a few shows have done, but it does both of those, in one sitting. It's acknowledging that the pandemic is happening in this universe, just like ours, and is basically just exploring how the characters are dealing with lockdown right at the height of it, just like people in the real world were dealing with it. So,
Please be wearing a shirt. Please be wearing a shirt.
Oh, hey, Dave.
What are you doing in a hot tub?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I'm in a hot tub.
Obviously, the quarantine has been tough on everyone.
I don't know what I pressed, but I'm here.
You look awful.
You lose!
You're a cashed up bogan.
Poppy is being mean in Australian. Is the meeting almost over?
The meeting hasn't even started.
I have a whole lot of stuff that we can just sort of like, there's plenty to talk about in the episode, but I think how they began to make this episode is so interesting.
Yeah.
Cause like, I think they were in production of the second season, at least writing it. I don't think they started filming anything, but they were in production of the second season right when Hollywood shut down because of the pandemic. So they're in lockdown, I think, for not very long before they're sort of like, we can't just like rewrite scripts over and over again. We want to do something. And so they decide like if they want to do something, they also, I think McElhenney says in like a Vulture interview, I believe, we want to get people back to work. A lot of people in the industry are working class. So, while, us like celebrities can do whatever we want, like most people that are actually working on our show literally don't have jobs to go to right now. So what if we, do a special where we can just give them something to do where they can get a paycheck, right? So that's sort of their justification for doing some kind of special. And then it's like, well, if we can't actually film on sets, then what if we filmed individually while we're all in quarantine, right? So that's how you get to this idea. Like a lot of other people were getting to, like the Parks and Rec special hadn't happened yet, but I think the idea they were coming up with it at the same time that Mythic Quest was, everyone in Hollywood's kind of coming up with something similar to that. So,
well, and how great to have your network be Apple, which means that you have access to the sorts of technology that you would need to pull something like this off. I think they sent everyone 3 phones to take different cameras, shots, AirPods to be able to talk, and get their recording taken very nicely. I mean, it was a pretty good place to be in for a pretty shitty place that the world was in, if you wanted to pull something like this off.
Yeah, I think it said the numbers were 40 iPhones and 20 sets of AirPods. And it said that like they got no pushback. They were like, hey, this might be a hard ask. Can we get this like within the week? And they're like, yeah, sure. We're Apple. We've got a whole, I've got a whole warehouse right behind me. I'll just give it to you right now.
That's funny. And as folks watch the episode, if you haven't seen it already or you're going to a rewatch after listening to this, just every time you see something, remember that they're not talking into a Zoom, even though that's how it's presented. They're talking to like a camera. They're being directed on a monitor. Like it's so weird to think about that because that's not the way that filming television works.
No, I mean, to put it lightly, not how many episodes of TV are usually filmed. Like, I think, okay, I have a whole paragraph because it's like insane when you lay it out because it's like basically, okay, so they get these phones, right? They install like, the high-tech filming apps on there. So then they ship 3 phones to each cast member, like you said. The cast members would then shoot their own scenes. So they'd have like guidance over from one phone, I think like audio tracking on another phone and then filming into one phone and also their laptop. They're using all devices. They'd sterilize the phones, put them in a secure area outside their homes. A courier would get the phones, bring it to an editor. The editor would upload the footage. Then the editor would send the phones back to the actors because they're still going to have to probably film more footage or do reshoots or film coverage. So the editors are editing the footage they've already shot while the actors are filming more footage and then sending it back again and then just continually doing that until the episode's done. Which is like, I can't imagine like the meetings preceding this where they had to figure out how to make all of that work.
100%. And in a 3-week time period, it is intense to think about this happening. And it's even wilder that it ended up being a really good piece of art. Just mind-blowing. And that's, again, why I think it's like one of the ultimate episodes to talk about on this podcast, because this is exactly where you can talk about shit like this.
Yeah, well, because it's like I don't know where I've said it before. I don't know if I've ever said it on this podcast, but I've said it somewhere where it's like when you really like dig into just how film production of any kind works, it is a miracle that anything gets made.
Right?
Much less is good. The fact that anything is just done and made, considering how many hands are in the pot at any given time and how many like little things, how many like any sort of domino effect you can have from one thing going wrong. When you have something like this, where it's sort of like you have your entire cast that you have who are not trained filmmakers, who you are asking to do the jobs of production crew members, and also production crew members who are also providing their feedback and coaching them on this. Like, and then doing a process that like no one ever does anyway. Like the fact that it's not a catastrophe is just kind of mind blowing.
Yeah. It's so cool. But, and I hope folks like know that if you're not thinking about it just as the camera shot, but also the lighting, like makeup.
Yeah.
Like they're not doing like normal, just leaving the house makeup. They're doing like ready to be filmed makeup. And that's an art that normally you've got a person or a whole group of folks doing.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Yeah, because you were saying like they were trying to minimize how much stuff that they would ship back and forth. I think one for cost, but also I think at the time that was during the point when people were being told to like
sanitize
wipe down
your
your
grapes.
grocery.
Yeah.
Right. So like they were sort of like, we don't know what we should do, so we're just going to try not to send stuff. So use stuff from your house. So they still have to get like makeup and wardrobe to like, give approval on what they were wearing and coach them on like how to do their makeup. And then lighting, they're not gonna have professional lighting equipment. They're just using natural lighting. Like it's just so many little pieces that are just dependent on what these people already have in their houses. And most of us have been on Zooms now at this point. Not a lot of people look very good on Zoom a lot of the time. It's hard to make that setup work. So it's so miraculous.
Yeah. So anytime you see a character and you're like, wow, she looks really distressed. Like when you're watching a normal episode of television, that's done by a makeup artist. They a minute ago were at craft services having a bagel. So when you watch Charlotte Nicto have a breakdown on this episode, that girl's not only acting her ass off, but she did her makeup to look that way. Man, just Emmys. Just throw Emmys at these people. Just wild.
Yeah, I think they did submit this episode for Emmy consideration, and I don't think it was nominated for anything. So
what a shame! What a shame!
Yeah, what a bummer. Like it got like critical acclaim though. Like this is a very beloved episode of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is just like just a fun fact, because I like totally get this, even as like a podcaster. They just struggled with just like one of the things that they were worried about was just like they would have everyone in a scene on Zoom at the same time. They didn't film completely independently because they wanted people to be able to interact together and everything, right? So they still would try to like sync everybody so that there are like delays and reactions. And I think it was like Megan Gans was like, we had so much trouble just like everybody clapping at the same time to sync it. And nobody, like it just wouldn't work. And it's like, yeah, that's so real. If you've ever done any sort of like audio production over the internet, impossible to sync stuff. It just doesn't happen.
You get as close as you really can, and then you just pray for the rest.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Lots of quotes about that. There's like a lot of good articles and like oral histories about this episode that are out there that are worth reading. But I think everybody is just like, yeah, this was very hard to do. One of the hardest things we've ever done. Also very proud of it because it turned out very good.
It's very good.
The only other couple other things about it, they reference a charity in this episode. They do actually, in real life, they raised like $600,000 for global NGO Mercy Corps COVID-19 relief program, apparently. Which was very cool that they did that. Before we like break down scenes from the episode, because there's plenty of other stuff to talk about, the actual pandemic context of this, does this feel right time to talk about that, or is that something that'll maybe come up during the plot stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild that we all have lived through a significant lockdown of our society in order to help curb new infections. But even you can tell the amount of work that went into sending props and sending materials and sending lighting and filming equipment to these actors. It's very clear that people were still putting themselves at risk to create this episode. And later, in filming season 2, there would actually be a small outbreak of COVID-19 on the set of Mythic Quest, with a tinge of irony associated with the fact that they had done so much work to film this episode in safety. I don't know if you're listening to this episode 20 years from now and you are a high school student unaware of what we went through as a society, but in March of 2020, the United States shut down in order to help curb new infections of COVID-19, a novel coronavirus that had sort of wreaked havoc on our community, especially impacting folks who were from marginalized identities, maybe had immunocompromised status, or were elderly or infirmed. And unfortunately, we continue to struggle with that to this day, which is why a lot of workplaces have still maintained some remote aspect. And while we're getting a little bit back to a new usual, COVID was really scary at the beginning. We weren't really sure what to do. There was certainly an idea that it was contagious, but as Derek said, like we were told to sanitize our groceries after they got delivered. And that was this time period, that was sort of that March to May was this real uncertainty. So even today with vaccines that are available, therapeutics that have come just a tremendous way, and better social policy around public health have allowed us to get back to business as usual. Like COVID infections are still happening today. They're still scary for people who have immunocompromised status. And they'll continue to be part of our life. It's unique that this episode was able to be made so quickly that it could capture some of that feeling. But even on a rewatch last night, some of it does feel a little kind of extreme. Like this idea that Rob McElhenney's character Ian is afraid to leave his house. Was a feeling we all had. I don't think it's a feeling we all have today.
It's so interesting to see something that is as topical as this episode is, because it's like very quickly becomes dated, not in a way that's negative necessarily, but in a way that's just sort of like, God, that is how it was like a couple of years ago. And it's weird how much, how much the attitude and everything changes so quickly. And I feel like it's kind of rare to see that on TV, because even when things are topical, it's usually topical in like responding to a trend or like a political thing. It's not topical in like responding to a global experience that everyone is having some variation of, that is like, that itself is like still ongoing and going through phases like that. It's such a unique experience to see that. And I feel like it is an episode that like, I'm so curious how this will play to an audience like 5 or 10 years later, because I feel like it already plays wildly differently now than it did if you were watching it in May 2020,
100%. And I think the writing did a fantastic job of capturing Poppy's isolation in particular. So as part of like my full-time gig, I do some work around mental health, and it continues to actually be a huge area of conversation about how we talk about the way in which social isolation impacted folks differently, and certainly made an impact on their mental health and the way in which loneliness continues to persist. So I'm really excited to talk about Poppy's storyline in particular. And
Yeah.
I'm going to try really hard, Derek, not to make this just an hour of me gushing over how great Nick Dow is. Like, she's just
Why not?
to die for.
She really is. Considering, she's like the one person out of 1,000 that isn't from Always Sunny. Like, she's kind of the star of the show. Like, it's really, she's so good. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's so interesting. And I think, the Poppy stuff, I think works really well in this episode. And we'll definitely dig into that. I think what was interesting to me, my complicated experience with this is because I said that I didn't watch this show when it first came out. I didn't watch it until like January 2012. What the hell? January 2022, which, the world in the beginning of 2022 was very different than May 2020, and especially how people were responding to COVID. And I remember when I watched it for the first time, I hadn't even heard that they did a quarantine episode. So it was like a surprise to me when I saw it. I was like, this is interesting. And I watched it and I was like, when the Parks and Rec one happened, I watched that at the time and I loved it. So I was sort of like open-minded about it, but I watched it and I was like, I appreciate this, but I don't like this episode at the time. And I think because in 2022, that's sort of like, I feel like it's a really cynical turn at that point where it's just like, the episode is very much like, we're all in this together. Like, it's really lonely, but we will get through this. And then it's sort of like, then you live for a couple more years after that. It's sort of like, oh no, I've just been seeing the worst sides of the world actually exposed and how awful people are and how no, the world is fundamentally not together and maybe kind of broken actually. And so watching it then I'm sort of like, I'm just kind of cringing at this, but I also recognize like I'm cringing at this, but I think that is a very visceral reaction because of the experience of living in. Because then when I rewatched it again for this, another year after that, I'm like, no, this is a good episode. I like that it's funny. So like,
Yeah, I think the other thing that's really unique, if you think about the window when this was written and delivered, is that it really lives between the onset of the pandemic and the start of other social unrest that we were experiencing in the country.
That's so true. Yeah.
Which I think was a huge part of pandemic experience for all of us. And I mean, I'm with you. January 2022, I was back to hosting an in-person conference. Like COVID was it was a different world. But if I think about that unique time period, like we're not yet dealing with racial fallout in our country. We're not yet asking questions about who are essential workers and why is it important that they make money? Because we've built our system on capitalism. I'm really trying to piss off Danny Pudi's character at this point in time.
Please.
Yeah. So even McElhenney's like motive to like make sure that we could make something so that people could get paid. Like maybe people should get paid just to live while we're in the middle of a pandemic. Like it was really, really nice to read that in May. Derek, I'm not kidding you. Like I watched this live and reading that story like tugged on my heartstrings, but I am like a communist. People should make money for doing nothing. And especially they should make money for doing nothing when nothing is the thing that keeps us safest.
Right. Yeah, it's so interesting, and it's like it's almost it's not this episode's fault, right? Like they're responding to what what was happening in what the global experience was at the time. Yeah, I think I didn't even think about like the sort of social unrest aspect of it, but yeah, that I think that did take a lot of this like. You're like, oh, we'll be fine. We just got to stick together and get through this. That it really is when everything starts to turn, and it's sort of like, no, actually, this is actually showing how fundamentally broken all of our institutions are, and everything's bad. Actually, like and it's really hard to like shift your mindset back to the like Imagine video time of the world.
Yeah, I looked that up for this conversation because at one point in time, Lou, who we will also talk about because I love him, looks directly in the camera and says, don't forget we're all in this together. And you're supposed to sort of hate Lou. And to me, I thought that was like a read on the Imagine video. But I looked that up. That came out March 18th. That is wild to me. There are places that weren't even fully in quarantine and lockdown when that video was making the rounds.
God.
Isn't that...
I didn't realize...
I know.
Quickly that came out.
Oh my
Because they were
God.
treated like, wow, we've been in lockdown forever. And it's like, oh, for like what, a week and a half? Like, what are you talking about?
We were giving up and singing at a week. Oh no. Yeah.
Oh my God, the Ellen DeGeneres crying video and everything. I can't go down that rabbit hole. God, what a horrible, what a horrible world we live in. Actually,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. I think one of the things the pandemic really gave us is like you should not see into the lives of people that you idolize as celebrities. I think it's a bad look. It's a bad look.
Yeah, bad luck. Bad luck.
If we can take a small detour though, it was a lot of fun watching. I think it was the Emmys or maybe the Oscars when everyone would be on camera and there'd be someone standing outside like their door with either an empty box or the award, and the just like disappointment of a completely shrouded figure like waving goodbye with no award. That was also art. That was art that was given to us, and I appreciate that.
Amazing. God, weird stuff. It's so funny. God.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh God. What an interesting. Just generate so many interesting conversations. Well, let's talk about some of the actual stuff that's happening in this episode.
Yeah.
This episode picks up, it does pick up right after the previous season finale, right? So Ian's just named Poppy, creative co-director for Mythic Quest. I think that like one of the last things that happened is they'd started this like Blood Ocean event in the game, which, you know, was a pandemic within the game of Mythic Quest, which is a bad look, which is hilarious and plays into it. Fun fact though, that concept of like a pandemic in a video game, they like specifically based that off of a World of Warcraft event called Corrupted Blood, which happened in 2005. That actually like has been used by epidemiologists to like model the spread of COVID, or maybe was in 2020. Like they used how it spread in that game to like help model COVID in real life.
That's cool.
Funny. Yeah. So interesting.
Yeah, the Blood Ocean was a significant part of the season finale, and why I think my team sort of names me an Ian character, because I will every once in a while just come into a team meeting and say 2 words and expect people to like make something out of it, and that's not great boss behavior. But at the whole end of the season focused on Ian just saying Blood Ocean and Poppy making sense of that. Which eventually ended up in the climax of her being named co-creative director. And it was such a purposeful and meaningful end of season 1 that like, even though you will see these labeled as season 1, both this and Everlight, the special episode that follows it, these are not season 1. These are interstitials because season 1 was a perfect story, bookended on each side.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah, it is a little bit jarring. Like, you know, like I said, I didn't know that they did a quarantine episode, so I just let the season 1 finale autoplay into this one, and I'm like, actually, no, I remember specifically, actually, because it autoplayed into this one, and I really, like, I loved that, the season 1 finale, and I was like on a high, and I was like, wait, so what else are they going to do after this? This feels like the conclusion, and then it rolls into this, and I see them on Zoom, and I see the episode's called Quarantine, and I'm like, I'm going to pause this and revisit this at a later date, actually, because I need to have a little bit of a break between these 2 story shifts right now. Not a perfect binge, I'll say.
Yeah. I don't think it works on a binge, and I will offer that to everyone. A great episode, but doesn't work as a continuation of what was truly a season finale.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, you know, obviously we're opening on an initial meeting. I'm going to call it Zoom meeting, but because it's just easier, but like they do create like a new interface. I forget, it's Myth something.
Mythic Quest meetings, very creatively named. So we have to credit David with that one, I'm sure.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm going to call it Zoom because I will just call it that by accident anyway. So yeah, it opens on a Zoom meeting, with like David, who's like alone, just waiting for, Ian and Poppy to show up.
And when the drum starts beating that beat with the syncopated rhythm going tat, 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 tat on the drum. You know, I'm just going to give him a call. This is stupid. 10 a.m. meeting. Be here on time. Don't even have a commute. Please be wearing a shirt. Please be wearing a shirt.
Oh, hey, Dave.
Are you serious? What are you doing in a hot tub?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I'm in a hot tub.
Yeah, I know that. Just turn down the jets, otherwise you're not going to be able to hear me.
I'm just going to turn down the jets, otherwise I'm not going to be able to hear you. There you go.
Great, thanks.
Wait a second, where's Poppy?
Oh, she hasn't signed on yet. I'm gonna give her a call now.
No, I don't wait for her. She waits for me. You call her, then you call me back.
No, come on. No, don't do the power play thing, Ian. It's not a... Oh, my God. It's like herding cats. It really is. It's like herding big baby human cats. Please be showered. Please be showered. Please.
Hello.
Oh, my God. Are you serious? I mean, you look awful.
No, I'm doing great. I'm on the best programming sprint of my life. For the last 45 days, I haven't left my computer except to pee and sleep.
Well, maybe leave once to wash yourself?
Wait a minute. Where's Ian?
No, we're not doing this.
If
We're not
he's
doing
not
the
here,
power
then
play
why
thing.
am I
Look, I'm
here?
gonna call him now, okay?
Okay, well, I'm gonna go put a bra on since you need these meetings to be all fancy or whatever.
It's not fancy to wear undergarments to a business meeting. You know what? Just go put on the bra.
It's like immediately one of my favorite jokes is like, he's like mad. Like, how are you like late to a call? You don't even have to commute. And I'm like, to this day, I am still often late to meetings, even though they're in my house. So, you know, we're all
It's
we're all
real.
in the same boat. It's real.
And I think this would actually be a good time to interrupt you. We keep saying Ian, but I need everyone to know that his name is Ian, which many of us would pronounce as Ian. But he specifically goes by Ian, and I think that's a huge part of Ian's like narcissistic personality situation that we've got going on for this character.
Yeah. Have you watched all of the new season that came out? I do. I like the reference that they make to that. I think that adds a lot of emotional weight.
Oh yeah,
to that being the pronunciation of his name.
Really makes you look at him a lot differently when, and there's a little bit in season 1 where he admits that his father was named Ian. But the season 3 delivery of that work is just it really solidifies that. It makes him a much more compassionate character. But we haven't seen that yet. So right now you're allowed to think that, man, this asshole just wants his name pronounced differently.
Yeah. This is a show that is very good about introducing like broad characters and then like digging for depths in them. Another thing that I will say, because I have had friends that have like started it and got like 3 episodes in and are like, I don't know if I'm into this. And it's like, I kind of get that because they are very cartoon characters early on. And I think some of the real brilliance of the show is bringing in like these incredibly broad characters, and like just the more it goes along, you're finding all these different shades, and not in a way that feels like it's, you know, making it up or as it goes along, or not in a way that it's like trying to force you to care. It's more like, I can sort of see how this explains why the characters are cartoons in the first place. And it's really good about sort of retroactively building out characterization as it goes along. Yeah. And it opens with him singing "Turn the Beat Around." Like that's the first thing in the episode, and he's complaining. And then we just get this back and forth between Ian and Poppy, because like one of them will show up and is like, "Well, I'm not gonna wait for Poppy. Poppy has to wait for me." Then he hangs up. Poppy says, "I'm not gonna wait for Ian. Ian has to wait for me," because, you know, they're intended. They want to be on an equal playing field, but it's all just a power struggle thing. You know.
Yeah, we pick up with Ian. He's in the hot tub, which is delightful that Rob had access to a compound with a hot tub.
I
But
guess
using
it's just
it,
his house, I'm assuming. So.
yeah, you know what? Using it to its full effect. Ian would absolutely join from a hot tub and then come back on camera with no shirt on. Quote, "It's inappropriate for me to wear a shirt. I'm in a hot tub," which is valid.
Valid. Yep. And then you see his butt on camera. So.
You do see his butt. And I think enough listeners, because I think there's something pretty uniquely queer about gimmick episodes, probably look for a dong. No dong to be cited in my view, but feel free and zoom in with that Apple TV Plus subscription and see what you get.
Rob McElhenney knows that there are people who thirst after him no matter what body type he is currently inhabiting.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that he just milks that for all it's worth in everything that he does.
Yeah, but credit where it's due. A month into the pandemic, still a solid tan line, Rob. So staying modest while in the sun. I like it.
That's true. That's very true. Very true. But yeah, that's our fun intro to the episode. A fun note, I'll credit you for making this, because I actually totally forgot that this was the case. But like, it's actually kind of funny. This is the first episode that doesn't have the Raven's Banquet subtitle, which it's always weird to me. The whole first season has the Raven's Banquet subtitle because that's the extension that it's working on.
Yeah.
And then this episode is Quarantine because it's a special. Next episode is Everlight because it's a special. And then the rest of the show never has a subtitle.
Never comes back, even though they continue to work on some version of an expansion. I mean, I think it's cleaner without it. I
think so too.
I never liked Raven's Banquet. I even don't like that it says quarantine, but I do like that they called homage and changed the title card for that opening.
I appreciate that. I have to imagine that they had different, like they maybe had plans for like a different name every season or something like that, and it just, you know, it just kind of got derailed after a while. But it's still a weird choice.
Now it's interesting. The opening title credits for this, like many modern shows, are very short. It's the logo comes in, a sword comes through it, it's done. I live with a skipper. And I don't know if anyone else has to suffer through this, but my husband insists on skipping the opening credits, even for something like Mythic Quest, which I don't even know why Apple gives you the choice.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah, grounds for divorce, honestly. Skipping the intro of like White Lotus is like a terminable offense, in my opinion.
Yeah. Skipping the intro period, I think,
Agreed.
should be illegal personally. But
Agreed.
You know.
Somebody worked really hard on that art, and you should watch it.
No, but I need to save 30 seconds of my life. I'm so busy.
I say that
you're watching a TV show. Give me a break.
I agree. I say that, but I listen to podcasts at 1.4 speed, so like I'm probably guilty of this.
I still haven't gone down. I've had people tell me that. I've yet to go down that. But also, most podcasts I listen to, people talk very fast to begin with. Yeah. So I think that helps a lot. I can't imagine people listening to me on 1.5 speed, but enjoy it, I guess, if that's your bag. Next scene, it's the full staff meeting. We already are getting this like running gag where CW, who's like F. Murray Abraham, who's one of my favorites, A+, just fantastic. He's like, I mean, in real life, he's like 80, I think.
Yeah.
So like they play that up, his like inability to join the call. Actually, no, that reminds me. There's a quote that I have from him. Let me see if I can find it in my notes somewhere. It's one of the funniest quotes I pulled from like one of the oral histories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it right here. It's long, but I'm just going to read the whole thing because it's hilarious. So Everett Abraham, he said when he was told about the Zoom episode, he said, "My first response was to wet my pants because of my utter tech ignorance. But once the staff walked through, it was a piece of cake. And further, the equipment they sent me, lights, mic, camera stand, etc., came in very handy for the several Zoom fundraisers I've been involved in since. I no longer wet my pants."
I love him. Speaking of White Lotus, I mean, what a stellar actor. What a get for this show. And I find his character, CW, to be very compelling, very funny. There's a scene earlier in the season where he's talking to one of the testers, played by Ashley Birch, Rachel, and she mentions that she studied women's studies in college, and he says, "Women's studies, what's that?" And she begins explaining it, and he holds up his hand and goes, "Inquiry withdrawn." And again, Emmys, just throw Emmys at this man. Again, as a couple, we will just occasionally ask each other about our day. And I have been the recipient of many inquiry withdrawns.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's such a good response though.
So
like,
solid.
So good. Hey, y'all, just wanted to jump in here real quick because not long after we recorded this episode, some news broke about F. Murray Abraham, particularly that the reason he was no longer with the show after season 2 was because he was actually fired because of sexual misconduct, which, you know, we didn't know when we were recording the episode. I don't think anybody did. So I wanted to provide that context a little bit in case you knew that and were listening and we're like, why are they just gushing about this guy and not mentioning that? And I not to go too deep into it, I know that Abraham himself has not denied those accusations. He's, I think, really the only thing that context that he's added to it is just that it was more inappropriate jokes than anything. No other party has commented on that. So, you know, who knows? Take all that however you want to take it. But I did think that that context was a little bit important just because the news was unfortunately, perfectly timed to come out right after we recorded this, but before it came out. So I think that all of our thoughts about his performance and, the character on the show still stand. So I didn't want to cut that out of the episode, but just something to know as we're talking about it and gushing about that guy. So, all right, back to the episode. Ian is talking about how he's not left his compound. I love that he calls it a compound.
Yes. Yeah. It makes you vision something, because it's probably just his house, right? But it makes you vision something so much more, and that's so on par for Ian and who he is.
Yeah. And Poppy is like trying to, they're trying to deal with the blood ocean situation of having a pandemic in a game during a pandemic. And Poppy's like, what if I make a vaccine in the game? Which, Ian correctly is sort of like, sounds like you're just trying to make work for yourself, because that's going to be a lot of work to do. Again, really good with like setting up all of the plot lines like very early in the episode.
I like sort of this back and forth, even with the full staff meeting of Ian and Poppy. You can still see their power dynamic happening. You can see Ian calling Poppy out on this. You're right. It sets up our A plot between Poppy and Ian, the B plot, which we'll get to, between Brad and David, and then even CW's like technical incompetence being called out is just a small little thread to pull on for that final C plot that we use as a climax for the episode.
Yeah. Like the plot you were mentioning, it's like David and Brad. It's basically they just David wants to donate money because it's like, yeah, why wouldn't you? You're a corporation, you can. And Brad's like, no, giving away money, bad.
Okay, so obviously the quarantine has been tough on everyone, but our industry is thriving, and I think we should give back. So I'm suggesting a $100,000 donation.
Wait a second. Wait, what?
Brad, we as a company have a responsibility.
Money is my territory, and I make the final call. I'm not giving something away without getting something out of it. That's insane.
That's charity. You just described exactly what charity is.
Not approved.
All right, tell you what. Play me for it. Your little game there. If I win, you got to release the cash.
Deal. But if I win, you gotta shave off one of your eyebrows.
What?
Fucking hell. Goodbye.
Wait, she can't leave the meeting before me. No, goodbye.
Oh, this is gonna be amazing. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Unbelievable. Meeting adjourned.
Hello. I don't know what I pressed, but I'm here.
And as the Zoom call ends, like eventually Poppy just gets done. She's got work to do. I mean, listen, I've been on the Zoom call where I'm just done and I just want to leave. And she just shouts goodbye, which causes this domino impact of everyone looking directly into the camera and saying goodbye. And I hate that we did not all do this during lockdown. Like, this is how all Zoom calls should end. Yeah. It's just a frustrated goodbye from everyone on the call.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely vocalizing what most Zoom calls feel like at the end of them. So just have to call out, you referenced it already, but crashed up bogan?
Crashed up bogan.
I can't even, what does that even mean? I don't even know what that means.
It's real. I went ahead and looked it up, and I had to, by the way, I love Nick Dowd to death, but these aren't words I'm familiar with, so I actually had to look up a copy of the script to make sure I was getting this right. But crashed up bogan it's just an insult in Australia. And so when Ian responds, Poppy's being mean to me in Australian, she 100% is. It's not particularly offensive. It's just a way to refer to someone kind of being an idiot. Man, just perfect. Just a perfect moment between these two characters.
So good. So the next scene we get is between Dana and Rachel are like, they're like, the way I described them to my friends when I was like introducing them to the show is like, they're like Jim and Pam if they were like less annoying.
Yes. Oh, perfect.
Yeah. They're like the show's Jim and Pam. They're like the lovebirds of the show. They're testers at this point in the show. So they're playing the game, obviously, in their own homes separately. This scene is just about their budding romance, right? That's what's been going on for the whole first season. It also sets up this like C plot that we're going to get by introducing Lou to the situation.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. I can't color it, and I tried cutting it, and
That is badass. You're like Storm from X-Men. You're like fucking Halle Berry, girl.
wait, really?
Yeah.
Hi. Oh, is that Rachel's mom? Hey, Rachel's mom, can you send Rachel in? It's work time.
Lou, what are you doing here?
I thought you got promoted.
I did. They made me head guy in charge of babysitting dum-dums like you. Couple of ground rules to go over. I don't mute when I eat. I don't want to hear any chit-chat. I don't want to hear any side chat. Certainly no backsass. And ladies, let's remember, we're all in this together.
I feel like you want to talk about Lou, don't you?
I do.
I'm on the same wavelength, though. I get it. Yeah, I agree.
Listen, I've mentioned that I'm married. I've thrown up a lot of red flags about it. I love a project, and Lou is a project. He's played by Craig Mazin, who is fantastic. He is the co-creator of Chernobyl. He co-created the Last of Us series. He wrote Long Time, which was covered here on the Gimmicks podcast. He's fantastic. He's also like my personal type for a man. And
oh yeah, he's so hot.
Lou is garbage. Lou, I can't believe that this man who won an Emmy for writing Chernobyl acts as this character. He is a misogynist. He interrupts. He talks about how he's going to eat crunchy food without his microphone muted. He is a terrible, terrible man, and it only endears me even more. This is the last time we'll see Lou. God bless. But just really, really fantastically love to hate character.
Yeah.
But you're right. He introduces this plot because the two testers have been like doing this thing where they'll eat a chip off of each other, and Lou says like, I can do that better.
Yeah.
And later we'll find out that he can.
Yeah, it's like the one good thing that he contributes to this show. It's like in the world of it, actually, ultimately.
Yeah. And we can't pass by Rachel without talking about Ashley Birch. Oh my gosh. So originally, if you listen to the Questy Besties podcast, not that anyone should listen to anything but this podcast, but it's all the women on the show get together and they talked about making the first season. And Ashley was not supposed to be one of the testers. She was just going to be a writer on the show. Folks listening probably know Ash Birch from being Aloy in the
Horizon.
Just kidding. Horizon, thank you. Series. You might know her as Tiny Tina from Borderlands. I first saw Ashley Birch in a series, a very early internet web series called Hey Ash, What You Playin'?
Yeah.
And these are worth a YouTube dig because they are surreal home videos that her and her brother wrote, and her brother would go on to work on Borderlands, which is how she got the gig as Tiny Tina.
I love Hey Ash, What You Playin'? It's been a very long time since I watched one, so my memories are like kind of vague, but I those are ones in college we watched the shit out of those videos. They're so funny and weird, and she's so good in them.
So good. And what a pedigree to your millennial status, because this is early, we're talking early internet gang. This is not like shot on a smartphone.
Yeah.
I don't remember a ton of them either. I did go down a little rabbit hole when I started watching Mythic Quest, because I turned to my husband and I was like, who is this woman? I know her. And it wasn't until I really connected the dots on her bio that it was this far back, and she is like a baby.
Yeah.
The only episode I can remember, they were playing Puzzle Quest, and her brother said, I can't play that game because I'm colorblind, and I'm colorblind. And then she made a whole scene over like wearing purple because he couldn't see purple. And I can't see purple.
Oh, wow.
It would work. She would be invisible to me. I just can't see it. Yeah, great series. It has aged in the way that anything made 20 years ago has aged, but it is fantastic.
Yeah, what a dream career to have like just done dumb internet videos, and then like now you're literally working in video games, and also working on like major television shows. Like in both the creative, like I know she writes episodes of the show too, and is like one of the stars of it. Like, goddamn. Like,
and she's in this hot lesbian relationship.
Right?
These girls are gorgeous.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love like the self-deprecating aspect of it, that like she's one of the writers and her character is like poised as being the one that everyone is annoyed by all the time. Like where it's just like, I understand like what you're saying, but you're like the worst kind of SJW person. Like, like I agree with everything you're saying, but I hate that you're saying it. Like, I love that she like embodies that. It's so good.
Yeah, and if you look in the background of their filming, she actually does have an Aloy statue on her bookshelf.
Oh, that's so good.
Which is also what a fun little call on her. I would say probably most significant video game role.
I would agree with that for sure. Yeah. Next scene is some of this Brad David Street Fighter action, but Brad's winning currently, and then that's when Sue joins in.
Hey, Sue.
Oh, it's a party. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but my inbox is filling up with some very strongly worded emails.
Right. Yeah. What are the players upset about now?
It's the parents of the players. They can't undo the parental controls, so their kids are getting locked out of the game after too many hours of play. And it seems like the one thing that parents don't like to do is parent, which, it kind of makes you wonder why they had kids in the first place.
Okay, so, well, thanks, Sue. We'll just, we'll take care of it. All right,
okay,
bye-bye.
David, just one last.
Yeah.
What might get us some goodwill is that $100,000 donation
Actually, Sue, we're not going to be donating the money anymore.
But David will be donating his left eyebrow.
Wait a second, that's it? Yes. Yes! Okay, let's play again. And if I win, we donate $200,000. And if I lose, I shave off my other eyebrow. Huh?
I'm done dealing in brows. I want your lashes.
All right, fine, you can have my eyelashes. Deal, let's do it.
No, David!
Deal.
David, your eyelashes, they're your third best feature.
Okay, Sue, we gotta go.
Don't-
Take care.
I'm so glad that she's in this episode. She wasn't in the third season enough, I feel like.
Not enough. Not enough.
Because she's such a great character. Because like Sue is she's like not a main character. She's very much just like a supporting, pops in occasionally. But her whole vibe is like I forget what her position's name is, but she's like a PR type person. She is like responding to players' messages and mail and feedback, right? So she's getting all of like the awful gamer messages all the time, but like the contrast is that she's like this like peppy, like nice Christian lady who's like just hearing these like gamers like saying fuck you constantly, which is such a funny conceit.
Yeah, so she's the community manager, and at one point in time in the season 1, there's a group of girls who come by the office to meet female and women in gaming, and they bring them down to meet Sue, and one of the girls goes, I want to do what you do, and she looks them dead in the eye and says, no, no. It's Caitlin McGee. She is to die for. She's actually like a legitimately funny and a little bit vulgar comedian.
I didn't know that.
But
That's so good.
As Sue, she embodies this Midwestern, gonna bring you an apple pie woman. Just, you're right. Like, one of the highlights of season 1 is Sue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's really just there to like react to the situation and say funny things.
Sue's just there. She says she's getting a lot of complaints. First of all, the parents want to know how to turn off the parental controls because of the pandemic. They don't want to parent their children. Another minor topical reference of what's going on. And while she's there, she mentions what would really help the company's image is giving that money away, which is why she called David to begin with. David reveals that he doesn't have it, but then sort of raises the stakes with Brad. Hey, I won't just give you an eyebrow. I'll give you something else. And Brad asks for his lashes.
It's just so weird.
Just so great. And every once in a while, I will look directly in a mirror and I will say, David, not your eyelashes. That's your third best feature. Which, delivered by Caitlin McGee, just rings in my head forever.
That's such a good line. That's so good. The specificity of it, A+.
Yeah. And again, dealing with limited resources, I can't speak to whether Caitlin McGee is a Christian or not. But like, it looks like this framed cross was done with arts and crafts that was shipped to her house. But it works. It delivers on who she is as a character with the very limited knowledge that we know.
Yeah. Just like in one frame of her background, like you get exactly who she is. It's really smart. Like set direction. Again, that's just in this actor's own house, like in their bedroom or whatever it is. Like it's so good. One interesting thing that I'd read is that the David Brad story, I don't know if Brad was even really involved in it. It was mostly a David story. It was originally going to be about him, like as a charitable gesture, offering like a free feature to players just to be nice. And then it would backfire because people would be like, wait, but I paid for it before. And then people would get upset, right? Basically like how student loan discourse is now. But they, and the whole deal just being like, nothing good. No good deed goes unpunished kind of thing. Like, but that stuff happens with that character a lot. But I think Megan Gans had said like, we liked it, but like it feels kind of cynical and like people just aren't being cynical right now, which is how you land on like all this like feel good stuff where like the butt of the joke is still David, but like it's not really like impacting anything and good is still done out of it, which is an interesting choice.
And it's a great off-screen reveal of the climax, which we'll get to in the last scene. But I do like this rewrite. I like this story a little bit better than what I think was originally scoped. But again, just bonkers to think about the fact that in 3 weeks this was all created and that there was a rewrite as part of it,
which seems like a major storyline.
Of the B plot, the whole B plot got rewritten. That's just wild.
Bananas. Next scene, this is another instance of a supporting character who just like absolutely shines and is like one of the best. In her case, plenty of in season 3, because I think she got upgraded to series regular.
Yep.
Carol, who's the HR person, who's so good, she calls Ian.
Yo, Carol, what's up?
I'm gonna need less crotch, Ian.
Oh, sorry. I don't hear that very often. I'm just kidding, that's a joke.
Okay, so I'm calling because I've received some reports about bizarre behavior.
Well, it is the video game industry, Carol. There are a lot of nuts there, and they're probably ready to crack. Although, one person in particular that I'm worried about is Poppy. There's something going on there, I can tell.
The reports have been about you. Ian, you can't send personal videos to your employees with the subject line, mandatory viewing.
Well, those are meant to be inspiring.
Really?
Sometimes everything is wrong when the day is nice. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, I'm showing people that we're all in this together and that everybody hurts.
Ian, if you want to actually help people, you're going to have to make a sacrifice. Maybe give away some of that money you clearly have.
Well, I'm happy to do it, but that's not what people want right now. They want hope, because money is not that important.
It is to people who don't have it.
This is when we get the Imagine video stuff. This is a lot. This whole scene is just a bunch of jokes. It's good.
Yeah, so Carol gets on Ian about sending these videos to the full staff. She's just trying to rein him in, a task that would be difficult in normal times. You're right. I mean, of supporting cast, we've got Sue, we've got Carol, we've got Tall Paul. Carol is, and she deserved that bump up to series regular in season 3. Just amazing. I know I already pitched it once, but on the podcast series Questy Besties, Carol is actually the guest talking about this episode.
Oh, cool.
For them. And so Naomi Ekperigan does a fantastic job. She's another comedian. She's fantastic. She talked about her own experience with the pandemic, adopting a lot of animals, which ended up backfiring a little bit when she went to film this episode. So that she could like get the dogs and cats in a different place so that she could film her one scene, or I guess a couple scenes, because she's in the reveal as well. Yeah. She is fantastic as director of HR. She shines in the bottle episode in season 2, which is just amazing comedic work.
Yeah, no, that episode rules. I totally agree. It is kind of funny that like she felt the need. I understand why she wanted to get the animals out of the room, but I feel like her whole side is that like things are chaotic because all of her kids are at home and everything. I honestly feel like that's a situation where like cats and dogs running on screen actually would kind of help the scene for her, to be honest. But
you know, Dirk, that's really interesting. And I wonder if we would have filmed this in 2021, I bet you would have seen more animals. Yeah. I think that in the beginning of the lockdown, we all treated our animals like nobody wanted to see them. And the complete inverse is accurate.
That's so true. You're right. I think people worked really hard because it's sort of like I'm in a business setting. I'm in a meeting. I have to treat it like I am. I have to be as well dressed as I can be, at least on camera. Like, I feel like the joke is sort of like, oh, you know, I have a dress shirt on for camera and then like sweatpants on. But now it's sort of like, I don't care. I'll wear a fucking tank top. Who cares? Whatever.
Right.
Like nobody cares. Right. And it's the same thing with like animals. Yeah. I feel like it's sort of, I'm in a business meeting. And now it's sort of like, if a cat interrupts, like people are going to love it if you're improving the boring business meeting.
Yeah, there's no animals in any of the scenes now that I think back to it. And I bet that was like sort of a condition. If not, maybe a shot integrity thing. Like obviously if they trying to wrangle animals is no fun in modern television making at all.
For sure. But yeah, I mean, she gets a lot of really great zingers in this. I think, like Ian at one, I don't remember how, I remember how it comes up, and Ian at one point is like, oh, money's not that important. And she just yells at him, it is when you don't have it. And goes on just such a fantastic rant that I'll probably just cut in here.
You know what? I ain't got time for this shit, okay? I gotta babysit y'all and homeschool my own kids at the same time. Carol can't. Did you know they changed math? They just up and changed how you do math. I'm done, okay? So wear a shirt, don't wear a shirt, get hammered and do 300 push-ups. Put it on YouTube. I don't care.
I'm sorry, Carol. I think I muted you. Did you say something? Did you say something there?
I'm coming. Goddamn kids at work, kids at home. And hell.
The inclusion, especially of Carol admitting that she like can't teach her kids math, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm being asked to do all these things. As she goes off screen, she is inaudibly saying, "Kids at work, kids at home." It captures that frustration of sort of being on all the time so incredibly well, and so well for an actor who doesn't have any children. She is going off screen to no one. Like,
I was wondering if she actually had kids in real life or not. That is hilarious. Good job, because
it's delivers.
Yeah, she
delivers.
definitely. I read her as a put upon mom in that scene. So good job.
And I wonder if that'll be one of those references that does continue to age with this episode, or if we're always going to be changing the way we teach kids math. And maybe that is an evergreen joke, because I remember my parents saying that they changed math when I went back home with homework.
Yeah. I remember mine like complaining at a certain point where it's just like, why are you, I don't know what algebra is. How am I supposed to help you with this if you don't know what you're doing? Like, I never learned that. But yeah, I mean, really, I mean, this scene is mostly jokes, but it is definitely kind of a advancing of this idea of like Ian and Poppy kind of being on parallel wavelengths of both like pretending like they're dealing with everything fine and not actually really dealing with everything very well in their own way.
And even though Carol's calling for Ian and to be like, stop sending these inappropriate videos to your staff, Ian's thoughts are on Poppy. He says, I'm concerned about Poppy. He's doing it a little bit like a narcissist would. Yeah. But you can tell that there's something there. Ian does care about Poppy.
Yeah, definitely. I want to call this out because you left a good note too. Because this is another thing that's interesting about this show is that they do like these interstitials of like video game scenes, because the show, it does have a partnership with Ubisoft, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you, if you're a gamer and you are watching this, first of all, at some point in time, you are going to see Aloy. Like, she shows up.
Yeah.
Which is, well, I think season 2, maybe season 3. But like, you'll be watching this and you'll go, this feels kind of like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And you're not wrong. Like, it is scenes, it is cutscenes from Assassin's Creed Valhalla showing up in your game, in your TV show.
It's such a funny choice. It's one of those things where sort of like, if they lost it, I don't think it would really lose anything, but having it in the show, like, it does give it an interesting flair, you know?
Well, and this is the thing that's also so wild, Derek, because we're talking about a streaming show. So it's not like these interstitials are being added to pad out time.
Yeah.
It's not like we're having to get to 28 minute or whatever the magic number is to cut in your commercials and put it on broadcast television. So this is being done for this like significantly artistic reason. I think what it delivers in the pandemic episode is it gives you a little bit of visual interest between the scenes. But like, it happens in everything except for, I mean, this is the only version of a gimmick episode in Mythic Quest where they show up, but it doesn't show up in any of the historical versions of the show that tell sort of backstory. It doesn't show up in the bottle episode. It only seems to show up as these like ways of transitioning scenes. And some of it is, I mean, I don't think I've played every video game ever, but some of these feel like they're cutscenes that were maybe done for tech demos, or they never made it to a final project, because I don't recognize the characters, the games, or anything.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes, there's some of them where just sort of like, I'm just assuming I haven't played the game, but there's some that feel like they maybe were made for a trailer for an MMORPG or something like that, maybe. Like they're not something that are actually an in-game cutscene or anything like that. But it was just kind of fun that they just like kind of like it doesn't often have anything to, it's not like it's reflecting what's happening in the show ever. It really is just random action scenes from video games that are just there between scenes to, I guess. So maybe it's just easier to cut from one. It's literally just a scene transition. Really, it's just a very
scene transition.
Yeah, it's just such a funny, odd choice. But I do agree. I think it actually is effective in this episode because they can only do but so much dynamic filmmaking in it. Everything is very like you're watching what feels very two-dimensional just because of how it's filmed, and so that adds a little bit of flair and depth in between, so you don't get bored. Not that I think you would get bored, but I understand like the visual language landscape, it makes sense. So the next scene, Poppy finishes the vaccine for Blood Ocean.
Yes! Fuck yeah! Did it! I did it! I did it! Woo!
I love this because it's like it's like there's very little actual dialogue in it. It is just Poppy looking at a screen, typing some stuff. She's done. And then you get like this full arc of emotions from her, just from her facial expressions. Like, and then a little bit of like text that she's sending other people. And that's it. Like, it's really brilliantly done.
Yeah, again, Nick Dow just kills it. Her fuck yeah upon finishing, she compiles the code, it works. She delivers this fuck yeah, and it is, again, it's so resonant. I hope everyone listening has completed a project where you feel that much joy that you are by yourself and you shout out fuck yeah. Like, it is so incredible. To me, this is the only scene that's sort of a conceit of the episode, because everything else you could reasonably say that we're some sort of like spy on this, but probably wouldn't have her camera on just to like be writing code.
Yeah, good call.
Don't come at me, fans. I love this episode. I really 100% into it. But this is the only sort of conceit of like, we need to see her acting to see this happen. And you're right. It's so great that I didn't even really notice it until I watched it a fourth or fifth time, really prepping for this conversation.
I didn't think about that at all until you said that just now. Yeah, there's no reason for her camera to be on.
it's to me, I think, I mean, I could certainly watch the episode a couple more times, but I think it's the only true conceit that the show makes to sort of deliver on this. And there was no other way to do it. So I'm not trying to bash the art, but and it works. It's effective. It communicates an emotion to you.
Yeah. It's so good because you really see it like dawn on her like relatively quickly that it's sort of like, oh, I'm done. Oh
no, I'm done.
Like, now what? Like, which is, and that's a thing that this wasn't a thing that I dealt with in the pandemic because I always have like too much on my plate anyway. But I know that a lot of people who have most of their life is outside and in public and in social settings. Once they were in lockdown, even if they could work from home, it's just sort of like, okay, well, once I'm done, like, what do I do? Just like watch TV now? Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with myself. Like, which I can empathize with. I totally understand. And I think that makes sense for this character. I think that she was the perfect character to play that with because her whole characterization has always been like kind of workaholic, or if not workaholic, at least very heavily invested in the work that she's doing to the point that it makes her butt heads with like the other people she's working with. So it's sort of like, if she has no other ways to go other than that, like, what does she do?
Exactly. Yeah. And Poppy as a character, not to get too psychological, but she's so motivated by extrinsic input. So she's looking for validation. She's looking for something to do. She's looking for that impact. And you can tell that there's weight going on for her, that introspection is not what she's game for. She writes a message on their like inner team chat, which I suppose is iMessage because it's Apple.
Yeah.
She writes an iMessage to David being like, what can I do now? And he's like, take a break. And Poppy can't do that. It becomes very apparent that Poppy can't take a break.
Yeah. It's so interesting. And again, I get it. I feel like I'm a variation of a workaholic myself. And it is the kind of thing where it's sort of like, how I'm sitting still now, it feels wrong and weird. What do I do? And within the context of like the emotional trauma that you're going through during COVID, like it's kind of amplified. So I think they really nail that feeling there with her for sure.
And again, not to sell the show too much, but it's Poppy's need for that external validation and Ian's complete narcissism and closed loop internal gratification that makes these two so compelling as a pair. They're written almost like they were given a textbook example of like what a dyad relationship is between characters, and that this is what came out of like a writing exercise. They are perfectly aligned together in their unalignment.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's really brilliantly written. I don't want to steal your thunder because you took so many good notes about the information that is on her screen, and there's so much good stuff and just environmental stuff on her screen just from her relationships with other characters. It's so good.
Worth a solid pause on her chat screen, which again I would say as just iMessage. But you've got a message from CW that just has a string of nonsense characters. Again, we're reinforcing the idea that CW doesn't know how to use his computer. That's going to be really, really important for our climax. Gimmicks. Poppy has Rachel on there, and she's talking about this sort of Rube Goldberg design that they're going to be making later. She just sort of hints at it, even though we, the audience, don't quite know to that yet. But she has her listed as annoying tester. And gang, it's perfect. Sue is on there, and she's got all these like positive emojis, and then she's asking about those darn parental controls again. It's just the environmental storytelling of being able. It's like a sign gag from The Simpsons. Yeah. They work because you just catch them at a glimpse, and they communicate them to you quickly. And just like The Simpsons, it gets even better if you pause it and take a look at it for a hot second.
Yeah, and that's something that, like, you know, this episode obviously can't be like a normal episode, and I think that the way that you were able to circumvent that is like things that would you can't really have background gags to the same extent. You can't fill your scene with characters in the same way, so you instead like fill it with jokes like this that are just information, because if you're already looking at a screen anyway, yeah, that's your, you know, that's your way to do it. Yeah, it's really great. I mean, and I think that's probably I haven't seen I can't think of like a Zoom episode that's like really bad or anything, but I imagine if you were to not do it well, one of the problems would be kind of forgetting that environmental design and forgetting to have fun with the details of looking at a screen and having that information there. Yeah.
Well, speaking of background jokes, we've got to talk about the next scene and the giant poster of Ronald Reagan in the background of Joe.
Oh my God.
Again, Jessie Ennis is fantastic. I think she's great as Joe. I think she was great in Veep with her sort of like small bit part character there. I think she's a fantastic actor. But all we really know about Joe is she's from the Midwest. She's kind of an intense assistant. And she's sort of conservative. And so, again, with limited sector creation, you were like, what can you do? Well, you put up a picture of Ronald Reagan, and it communicates a value to everyone watching.
It's very funny to me where it's just like, I wonder where that actor got it. Did she have a Ronald Reagan poster already? I don't think so, but where did she get it from? No. I'm very curious.
God, I would love to discover that answer. I hope they shipped it to her. I hope she wasn't like, hey, you know what I've got that I throw darts at at night. Just wild. Wild.
She's another one that I think grows on you a little bit, because that is because she is so abrasive at first. You know, I mean, because it's funny, but like that is, and it's like I feel like with her character, the comedy they've mined is like the opposite of other characters, because like you don't really get a lot more depth with her. You don't really blind into who she is, and that's what makes her funny. Is like the deeper you go, it's like, oh no, you are kind of, this is who you are on the surface is just who you are, like deep down to your soul. Like that's what's very funny. She's just intense all the way down.
And she is fantastic anytime she's with Rachel. I think like Joe and Rachel scenes, even all the way through season 3, are fantastic because Rachel is so earnest and so SJW that it makes it just a real easy target for Joe and her sort of conservative values, which is just great.
So good. But yeah, this whole sequence, I don't know that we really see Joe and CW interact so much. So it's so funny that you have Joe, who is like extremely good at like doing like she is someone that I imagine is probably extremely good at Zoom and Zoom meetings because she's a good assistant and everything, good at this type of work. Pairing her with someone who is just 100% ultimately completely inept with technology and just having to react to that and just scream about it is so fucking good.
At the video icon on the bottom left and then click that.
Oh yes, here.
Yes, I can see you. Perfect. Oh, wait, I can't hear you. No, there's no audio. Okay, click the unmute button, bottom left. No. This is an audio FaceTime.
Do you see me now? I just Facebooked you.
Okay, you pressed the wrong button. Let's just stick to one app, okay?
I'll text you.
No, CW, don't text me.
Just a minute. Hang on.
No, don't text.
Huh?
Just stop pressing
here,
buttons.
let me try this.
No.
That's better. What are you doing on the other side? Hold on. Let me try something else.
Just stop. No, just stop pressing buttons.
How's that? Is that better?
Just leave it the way it is. This is insane. This is truly...
Hey, I see you. You see me?
No, I mean, yeah, sure, but you're a panda.
A what?
A panda.
A panda?
You must have pressed the wrong button, okay? Because you were just pressing buttons.
There's an echo. Yeah. Echo, an echo. Echo. Don't you hear that echo?
Yes, I hear it.
You know,
Just
it
stop
doesn't
talking.
echo when you talk.
Just stop talking and listen and look at the camera.
Which one?
The only one, the panda one.
I don't want to be a goddamn panda.
You're a science fiction writer. How do you not know how to just use a cell phone?
I'll fax you.
God damn it. CW, do not get back. Get back here. This is insane.
Yeah, so let's go through the order of operations. We've got she's trying to help CW get on camera. We can hear CW, but he's not showing up on camera. He comes on camera, and then all of a sudden we can't hear him. Joe's trying to coax him on turning off the mute. He turns off his camera. He then responds, "I'm going to Facebook you," and sends her an audio FaceTime call. And again, this is all happening on Joe's screen's POV, so we got a little bit of that connection lost feel from Claire Dunphy.
And it's happening in very rapid succession too. Like this is like one right after
very
another.
rapid.
Yeah.
We get him back on camera, but all of a sudden he's on the wrong side. And this is such a great bit of environmental storytelling because the order of screens matters for this show because of the climax of this episode. And so they've got to be able to get that right because normally, who cares where the fuck you show up on the Zoom screen? Yeah. Hopefully on the second screen if you're really lucky and no one can notice that you're sort of dazing off. It's my personal goal. Yeah. But this is important, and so we can explore that a little bit. He accidentally turns a filter on, and then again, we've got an instance of art sort of predating a real-world example. CW comes back on camera, but he's on FaceTime, and he's got his memoji ready to go, and he is showing up like a giant panda. And this predates Lawyer Cat.
That predates it? Oh my, because I watched it so late, I just assumed that was a reference. Oh my God.
Derek. It predates Lawyer Cat. So it is him as this giant panda. Again, we're taking advantage of the fact that we work for Apple. Yeah. So we've got this memoji thing going on. He doesn't want to be a goddamn panda. It's perfect. I have no notes.
So good. It's so funny. It is so funny. And again, that is one of those where it's like you just kind of have to watch it because like it's such a rapid fire scene. Like I didn't time it, but like this thing is like 30 seconds long. It is not long. It is just so much happening. But it's also like it's so real because I feel like if you have ever dealt with just not to be ageist, but an older person who refuses to learn new technology, even though no matter how well you teach them, it's just sort of like, I'm not going to learn this. I refuse. Like we've all encountered that kind of person, especially when it's in a business setting. And it's the most frustrating thing in the world because they somehow find new things to break that seem like they should have been impossible to break and they do it anyway.
And talk about acting. Ennis is doing a job of going from patient kindergarten teacher to I just can't take it anymore. And the scene ends with CW saying, I'll just fax you. And you can start to hear fax noises. And it's a really interesting directorial choice because Jesse gives the like Dorothy Sportak stare to the camera. I can't do this anymore. Deadpan face. But then they have her disconnect and show her like cute little picture offline for a hot beat before they end the scene. Yeah. And it's such a beautiful directorial choice because you don't need it. You don't need that half a second of just her picture, but it shows you what it's like to be so frustrated that you just say, I can't and I have to leave.
Yeah. Well, in the contrast of like, you know, your nice picture, because like that's another oddity I think of working in the Zoom world. Especially if you're in a conference with someone whose camera is off and it's a serious conversation, but their picture is just like them smiling with a dog or something. Like that weird there is an odd surreal contrast that exists with that.
My God, Derek, I had to fire someone over Zoom and he was like, can we turn our cameras off? And I was like, sure. But his like headshot was this like beautiful smiling picture. And I was like, okay.
God, awful. Oh,
just how it was. Just how it was.
No, but yeah, the other thing I never even really occurred to me, but like, she does stare right into the camera. And that is something that you can do with this structure that you can't do in the show otherwise, unless you're specifically a mockumentary. Staring into the cameras is not a thing you do, and they can break the fourth wall as much as they want because the fourth wall is just a computer screen. Like, that's such an interesting call out. I love that. So this next scene, so this is when Ian calls Poppy to celebrate the completion.
Hey, Poppy! Congratulations, I heard you finished your sprint. Let's celebrate.
Thanks, I can't. I'm busy.
Oh, no, you're not. David said you are all finished with your work, and so am I, because I've already had 2 of these, and I want to make a 3rd, so get on it. And by the way, turn your camera on, because it's less sad when I can see you if I'm drinking alone.
Great, sorry. I can't turn it on. I just got out of the bath.
Bath? You don't bathe? Now
Yeah.
I know you're lying. What's going on?
Nothing's going on. I just don't want anyone to see me right now, okay?
All right, I did something nice for you, and I wanted to have a drink and watch it, but let me just send it to you now, and you can...
Hi, Poppy. I'm going to walk you through a guided meditation. Now, relax, close your eyes, and concentrate on the only thing that matters. The sound of my voice.
What is this?
Yeah.
This is a core exercise, but as you can see, you're engaged.
Yeah, that actually is not for you. What I like to do is come down to my wine cellar here. Oh, sorry, they keep popping up.
Next, your guest cottage.
Technology.
No, I don't.
Oh, but you know what?
Can
Actually,
you-
Pop,
Not want to leave your house.
Turn the...
That is why.
Can you
this
get the
is one
videos
that you
off
should
my-
watch, because I think that this
don't
will
wanna watch
help
any of
you.
Listen, I just want to be alone, okay?
Okay.
Stop acting like you're trying to help me. This isn't about me. It's about you being too scared to leave your compound, but you still need attention because you're a fucking narcissist.
It's kind of devastating because Poppy never comes on camera, and Ian's kind of like, come on camera, it's fine. She's like, no, I'm not gonna come on camera. And like the voice acting in it is really good because she's very like quiet and like super low energy. Like you can tell that something is wrong. But you know, he's not good in the immediate situation at like responding to that. So he could tell that something's wrong, but his reaction to like noticing that something is wrong is just to like send her a shit ton of videos that he made.
Yeah.
And like to the point that it like another unrealistic thing was like all the videos just pop up at the same time on her screen and are all playing at the same time. And it's very overwhelming. it's
Yeah. I do like that the original thing he's sending her as sort of a reward for doing all this work was this like affirmation video that starts off with the quote, relax, close your eyes, and concentrate on the only thing that matters, the sound of my voice.
Brilliant.
And again, what a brilliant written line for this character. But she loses it. And she says like, you're absolutely the worst. You don't realize what you're doing is actually reacting to your fear of this virus. And that's why you're sending these videos. And that's why you're such a narcissist. You won't even leave your compound. And she's done. And she just, she leaves there at the end. And it gets really emotional and really dark with Poppy and Ian.
Yeah. I appreciate it. I mean, that's really the emotional core of this episode, you know, considering all the other silliness that's happening.
But it is a comedy, so we leave with the laptop tilted or the camera somehow tilted in a different direction, and Rob McElhenney is looking down on it, and he says, "Wow, from this angle, I look huge." And I wrote in my notes, he does look huge. Like it is a step on me, daddy moment, and like I'm not going to try to hide that. Like that is how we're meant to feel, and he is delivering that feeling.
He knows he's watching. You know, he's an ally. He gets it. He's an honorary queer man.
Yeah. So it's a great scene. It's emotionally resonant, but it does that right thing of ending with a joke to remind you that you're watching a comedy.
Yeah, for sure. The next one too, it's like more comedic stuff because we visit the like Lou, Rachel, Dana dynamic as they're playing.
No, fewer modifies plural nouns. Less modifies singular. You can't have less female candidates. You can have fewer, and you should. And anybody who doesn't know that is dumb.
Oh my God, then I guess everyone's dumb, Lou.
Rach.
Oh, God.
What? We're in quarantine. We're having fun.
Probably just thinks it's stupid.
Actually, I don't think it's stupid. I think it's a good idea. It's just that I think I would do it way better.
Then prove it, asshole.
All right.
And it opens with Lou correcting them about the language that they use, about when to use less and when to use fewer. And he's specific, again, just to sell you what a dirtbag this guy is. He says, you don't want less women candidates, you want fewer, and you should. It's just, man, he is just terrible.
It's like he's such a well-written character though, because it's just like they really distill every like misogynistic like complaint into one man. fan, and it's just, but it's like, I don't know. There's something about like the way that Craig Mazin like delivers all of it, where it's like you could go so over the top and just make him so hateable, and like he is, but like he's weirdly charming with how he delivers all of this stuff.
He's weirdly charming, especially because he does a callback to this less and fewer thing in the middle, and delivers it with like perfect comedic timing.
Yeah. Why do you have toilet paper on your desk?
What? Oh, yeah, I got toilet paper everywhere. I got loads of it, way more than I could ever use.
I don't know. You seem pretty full of shit.
It's pretty good. You know what? I like her. She should talk more. You should talk fewer. See how stupid that sounds?
Yeah, you should talk fewer. It's great. Because everyone has told Rachel to talk less. Like, my girl, just take a pause. So he's right. And he sells it with this sort of like jab. I mean, you know, talk about a queer ally. I mean, he wrote, you know, the third episode of Last of Us. But like, he sells that in a very like queer Barbie way. That just seems like really cool.
Absolutely.
But Rachel and Dana, to sort of survive the meeting with Lou, are still doing their chip thing. And Lou notices it and he goes, I could do this better. And he does this whole little setup of a very mini Rube Goldberg device, getting Rachel to poke the side of her screen. It rolls a roll of toilet paper across the desk, knocks over the chips for Dana to take one. And even Rachel has to admit that his way was better.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, awful human, he's 100% right. Like, all of the whole like great end of this episode, 100% this dude's idea. Like, he's not wrong. He heads it up. It's like, like the one good thing he contributes to the world is the end of this episode.
And Lou is the kind of character who would have hoarded toilet paper at the beginning of all of this.
Love that joke so much. It's the only time they make a toilet paper joke in this entire episode. And I love the fact that it's not people complaining that they can't find it or whatever. Because, you know, at a certain point, it becomes a little too annoying or dark or whatever. But I love that their version of the joke is like, who is the person who is responsible for the toilet paper shortage? It's this guy. And he's like, not even really, he's just like, I'm not even going to use all of it. I just got it. Like, he's not even anything dire. He doesn't even care. It's just, A+.
Yeah. We had bought our house right before lockdown started. And so we had like just done our big Costco run, and we felt really bad that we had so much toilet paper. We were trying to like help families on Facebook Marketplace because like people, it was like a serious thing with the pandemic. But again, put yourself back in that time. Like, we left it on the porch. Like, I didn't want to talk to someone. What if they were like this vector of disease, which again, we know so much more now, but it was that weird like moment in time. But yeah, we had just bought like, I don't know, what you buy when you own a new house versus toilet paper. Yeah. And like, we're disgusting men, but we don't need 600 rolls of toilet paper.
Right. Oh, God, what a weird time.
What a weird time. Yes. But all of this is just to set up the end, that establishing like we can do something. We can do something better. We need more people, preferably men. I love that. Preferably men. Oh, it's so great.
So like on the nose. I love how on the nose it is. It's great. Next scene, Brad beats David in Street Fighter again.
David, are we at your divorce trial right now? Because I just watched a hot Asian chick rip your heart out.
Okay, one more game. $300,000 against both eyebrows, both eyelashes. Full monty.
Pass. I'd rather have you lopsided.
Come on, man. I just want to do some good here. There's got to be something you're willing to play for.
I want your essence.
My what?
I want your spiritual core. Your joie de vivre. I want the mustache.
No, I need a mustache. I look weird without a mustache.
I got bad news for you, bud. You look weird with the mustache. But the question is, how badly does David Brittlesby want to help people?
Are the eyelashes still on the table at this point?
It feels like the eyelashes get lost, maybe because getting David Hornsby to actually take off his eyelashes would be a step too far, though he does legitimately shave his eyebrow.
Good for him.
That is not makeup. That was really done. But no, Brad and Danny Pudi looks directly into the camera and says, I want your essence, which should haunt everyone watching it. And he means his mustache, because David Brittlesby has this fantastic mustache and he's rocking it. And he says that without it, he'll look really weird. And Brad's response is, well, you look pretty weird without it. it's a great scene. It raises the stakes the right way. And you mentioned this earlier, but we get a little twist here at the end in which David reveals himself to actually be a bit of a ringer. When he was going through his parents' divorce, his mom would give him a 20, send him to the arcade, and he would play his favorite game, Street Fighter. And he's got this like joypad going. It's setting you up to be like, wow, he's gonna win against Brad. We're gonna have a heroic victory here, which is really, really exciting for the episode.
Yeah, he's so good. He's beautiful blue eyes, first of all, which I really never noticed as well as in this episode when the like light's directly in it. But he's really good. He's so fun as this character, as this like put upon character that's like constantly losing all the time. And it's funny that he's like on the edge of a win and then still loses, but still kind of wins a little bit.
Yeah.
But I also like Danny Pudi. I love him on Community. I've really never seen him on anything else other than Community and this, honestly. But like, it's so funny how like those two performances are very similar in some ways. Like he is very good at these like very fast talking line deliveries. Like I think it's just sort of his natural way of delivering lines, but yet like the actual characters are so radically different. It's just, the Venn diagram is interesting because I feel like both of them are kind of, can be sort of manipulative in certain ways, but like for different reasons. Like Abed is like manipulative in like an innocent way because it's just like, I'm just trying to make my movie. And then Brad is manipulative just because he is just evil. Like
and he wants to win. He wants to get that last cent out of every person.
So funny.
Yeah, it's great. And so Danny actually gives us a great performance here as Brad here at the end, being like, oh shit, I'm going to get wasted by David. Like that's wild. I can't believe this. I'm going to lose to David Brittlesby. That would be devastating to my ego.
Yeah, which it would be. I agree.
Yeah.
I also like the detail that like, I feel like he's the one. I'm sure that multiple people had like ring lights just because that's the easiest way to light stuff. But he's the one that like it's the most pronounced. Like it is very obvious.
Yep.
They want you to see that he has a ring light, and it's like, of course, this character would have a fucking ring light. Like, of course he would.
Derek, I'm so glad you noticed it because I didn't put it in my notes, but to me it was like, wow, Danny Pudi's the only one who I can tell like has a ring light. But it almost feels like an intentional decision to show off like, hey, yeah, this asshole would have everything that the best version of it could possibly be.
Absolutely. So next scene is, actually really we have like two big climactic ones left, right? We have sort of the emotional climax and then the sort of just fun catharsis of the episode. This one, it's really good. I'm sure there's going to be a lot to talk about because basically this is the resolution of the Poppy and Ian storyline. Kind of Poppy's working. She's seeing messages from Ian in the code telling her to stop, and then telling her to pick up the phone. Which
now this is interesting because I think you read the same some sort of oral history that I did, but they actually came up with this plot point because they were working in Apple is the sponsor of everything. Yeah. They were working in the Notes app together and would see each other typing live.
Yeah.
And it's what made them think like, oh, we could hide messages in the code, which is really well done.
Yeah, it is interesting because there is something, I think they say in that interview that like one of the things that struck them is that there is something really like uniquely personal. Like you can be talking over Zoom a lot, but like when you're actually in a working document together, it almost feels more like you're together because you're actively changing something at the same time and seeing what the other person is doing in real time. Like, I don't know why that is, but there is something, but like, I agree with that. Cause anytime I've ever had to share notes with anyone, there's like, if I'm working on something, I specifically like often don't like knowing that someone is watching me work in it. Cause it feels weird. Cause it really more so than someone literally watching my face on video, it feels more like someone is actually standing over my shoulder watching me do something.
But there is this unique feeling because I've been in the same boat as you. It's like, oh, I don't want somebody to read the work that I'm doing, that I'll be working and they'll just type hi. And it's strangely powerful. It's like a strangely positive emotion to all of a sudden feel like you're doing something together, even though it was just my boss and she just wrote hi. Yeah. Like she had nothing substantive to say. She just wanted me to know that she was thinking of me. And that is wildly powerful when you're talking about somebody who's in isolation, and especially for Poppy. But she's resisting it. She sort of refuses what the code tells her, which is to pick up the phone when Ian is calling her.
Are you on the street?
Yeah, and I am not happy about it. It's like these people want to breathe directly into my face. I mean, just right into my face. Hey, asshole. Cross the street or I'll fuck you up. Yeah, Okay. Okay, Pop, I'm gonna cross the street because he called my bluff, and he is big. You know, I don't think I'm handling this as well as I thought I was. I gotta admit, I think I'm struggling. Pop, you there?
Yeah.
You okay?
Uh-huh.
Can I see you then?
They're able to connect. She sees him on FaceTime as he's walking outside. He's got like a full on, like a giant mask and like a net gator on and everything and a hood on.
Yeah, he's looking a little like Bane. Not quite the pandemic prevention that we would later adopt, but he's fully ready to go.
Yeah.
He bumps into another person outside, demands that they cross the road, and then admits to his own limitations and being like, that guy was really big. I got out of his way.
It's really funny. That's also another thing that's just like, it's so real, because I remember like taking walks outside and just being like, wait, but they're too close. Why aren't they crossing the road? I guess I'll cross the road. And then, you learn after a while, it's sort of like, if you're outside, you're fine. You're like, it's not a big deal.
You're fine, yeah.
But like,
yeah,
we're all just
exactly.
sort of like, stay away.
Yeah. Again, what a moment in time, because even like a few months later, we would know that it all had to do with airflow and indoor air quality. And that's why it spread so much more on inside. But at that moment, in May of 2020, we did think that if you walked next to someone in the open street, they could give you COVID.
It's so, I love how that like highlights that aspect of it. I also I love this reveal, because he's walking. This whole time, Poppy's camera is either off or covered. Like, I think she's implied to have her hand over the cover the entire time. And he's just like, turn on your camera, uncover your camera, uncover your camera, uncover your camera. And she does. And it's so devastating.
It's devastating.
For one, she is in a completely dark room, only illuminated by the glow of her computer, which is such a smart choice, because that alone is such a vibe. Like, there's something so visceral about like that image and that type of lighting. Like, I feel like you can immediately put yourself in that position, and it feels so lonely. Like, we've all been in a dark room in front of a computer, and it's kind of that's just such a miserable image. It just feels so lonely, immediately.
And she looks a mess. She admits that she's not doing well. She is isolated from her friends and her family back home, thousands of miles away. An active feeling that Nickdow was feeling about her family. So she's pulling on some like unique experiences to her own personal life in her character of Poppy. And Ian gets it. He understands that this is happening to her. He is being empathic in a way that you don't see a narcissist like this be. It's really, really powerful.
Yeah. Because she references, her family's in another country, and she doesn't like have friends or something. But I feel like even though Ian is tends to do great at life or whatever, like, I think that he's a character who thrives so much on the people around him responding to him, that like he also is probably feels like uniquely affected by having to not be around people, like for different reasons than Poppy, but also like in a very similar way. And it's such a brilliant way to like forge that connection between the two of them here.
I don't think I'm doing very well. It was okay when I still had work, but now that's done and I don't have anything else. All my family are thousands of miles away and I don't have any friends and I'm just alone.
That's not true.
No, it is.
That's not true.
It is. I thought that I could handle this, but I don't think that I can. And everybody else seems to have somebody, but I don't. I'm just alone.
Open your door.
Why?
Just open your door.
Hi.
Yeah, so we can see from Ian's camera that he's gone indoors someplace, and eventually he tells Poppy to come to the door. And wow, it is an affecting scene. She runs to the door, she opens it, there's a figure there, and they embrace, and it's it's the climax of this A plot, as this climax of this main story between David and Poppy. But it's what I think also really sells this as a gimmick episode is it is a climax in which nothing happens. Virtually no dialogue is spoken except for Poppy's sobbing. And we sit there on her camera mostly because Ian's camera is ostensibly around her in this hug for 53 seconds. And it's an interminably long... If you and I sat here for 53 seconds, you would lose subscribers because it is an interminably long period of time.
Yeah, it's a really great risky choice that they do, and it definitely pays off. Especially like this episode like moves, right? Like all the scenes are relatively short. So then to just stop, like that silence is very affecting. And I think it finally actually lets you feel like this emotional catharsis that they've been building up to a lot. Yeah, I agree. It's extremely well done. I think on the technical side, this shot is so interesting for a couple of reasons too, because Rob McElhenney didn't want to have to interact with Nick Dow. Understandable. They were all trying to stay separate. Luckily, she has a husband. So like she has someone that is there to be a stand-in. So the person that she hugs, the blocking of the scene is brilliant because they don't need it to be a recognizable face, because since we're only seeing it from her computer, the entrance is kind of far in the background. So they're almost silhouettes in the background and the doorway. So it all works. It's not like they had to do any weird body double stuff for it. All they had to do was, dub over some lines for them and then they're good. So that's a really smart move to have it blocked like that. But I think what's really cool about it is that you are still seeing on her screen, like, Ian's camera that was feeding to her computer. So but you knew that was him, like actually Rob McElhenney filming it. So they had to like match the movement of when he puts down the camera and where it moves as the body double on the actual screen is also moving. And it's not like he just moves it down once and it's still, like it moves a couple of times to give the hug and then to move a little bit from there. And it's like, it's synced up perfectly. Like it's really well done.
It sells. I mean, you could be excused to thinking that was Rob.
Yeah, of course.
It sells so powerfully that you would never think that was a double, except for the fact that we did this in April or May of 2020.
Right.
And again, like to his outfit, like he is all masked up, so it sells the silhouette even better. It's perfect. And I think it's also hard to see this, and if you lived through lockdown, to not remember the first hug you got, especially if you weren't living with another person.
Yeah, sure.
And I think that's part of what I think sold the emotional connection on this so much to me. And I mean, I've watched this episode, like I've said, like 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and I can't not cry when I think about this episode. I mean, if I ever needed to cry on command, I would think about Nick Tow's face when she realizes that he's at the door. It's so powerful.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I said earlier, like I didn't like this episode very much when I first watched it. This wasn't a thing that I disliked. Really, it was all the optimistic stuff that I think felt cringy to me. But because like this is obviously it's optimistic in a sense of like you're seeing a beautiful human connection happening, but it's not saying that everything's going to be okay. It's just saying that we're both going through shit and this sucks, but at least we're we're trying to have each other the best we can. And like that's a thing that still resonated with me, like even then, and I think still does now. Like that's a very that's just a baseline, like persisting evergreen concept of just like we're all fucking miserable for one reason or another.
Yeah.
But as long as you can have like some kind of connection, have someone on your level that understands and empathizes and is there for you, like that's what's powerful and important. And like that always worked for me, even when I didn't like the rest of the episode at the time.
Yeah, you pointed out the darkness of Poppy's apartment at the beginning, and I do think there's this artistic decision to have Ian be in a lit hallway, and Poppy sort of come out of the darkness to Ian. I think that there's this powerful symbolism that is told in this story. I just cannot communicate, if you have not watched this, how long this scene is.
Wild. Yeah.
It's 53 seconds, and then of course we got to go out on a joke because again it's workplace comedy. So Ian pulls away and says, "You really need a shower." It's just sort of been a runner in the episode.
Yeah, it's funny. It feels long, but it doesn't feel like uncomfortable or annoyingly long. It's like it's the exact right amount of time.
Yeah, it like to the minute, like even a couple more seconds and you would start to get frustrated. like a wash of second emotion actually comes over me when I watch it, because I think I'm done and I think that the scene's about to like wrap up, but it doesn't, because that's how important this embrace is between these two characters. And again, not to get too far down a symbolism role, but we're talking about a yin and a yang. We're talking about a dark and a light, in that Poppy and Ian are oppositely opposed, and them coming together for a moment. They're not best friends, but they are who each other needed in that moment. And God, that's just some really fucking good storytelling.
Very beautiful. It's real beautiful. Yeah. And I mean, you know, we get a lot of emotion there. And then I think if you're watching it in real time, you know, you get that's really intense. And then you get just beautiful little catharsis of just fun afterwards. And this is like just fascinating that they chose to do this, because like this episode was ambitious enough, you know, just filming it, period. No, just filming people talking. That's in this situation was already going to be complicated. And they're like, what if we do a Rube Goldberg machine? Like, okay, guys, you're just trying to kill everybody on your set, I guess. What do you? Yeah, it works. I still cannot comprehend how they pulled this off, but they pulled it off.
Because not only do you have to send these materials to all the actors, but you have to send them instructions on how to set them up. It's so cool. And again, during a time when we all thought you had to wipe everything with a Clorox wipe when you got it. Like, just so cool.
Yeah. Basically, you know, they built a Rube Goldberg machine. That's what it's been building to. The chip thing at the beginning, with Dana and Rachel just like handing each other a chip over the Zoom windows. It's a Rube Goldberg machine that like, I don't know, like 40 people are using. It goes through everyone's screen. It's incredibly complicated, all just to knock over the chip bag for Dana to take a chip. But obviously, you know, they're not all in the same room. That's not connected. So everyone has these independent devices. They have to time out perfectly to make sure like it looks like it's, you know, affecting the next screen to impact the next screen to eventually get to the end. It's really brilliant. I have to shout out special effects coordinator Jonathan Combrin is apparently the one who basically figured all of this out.
Wow.
Like they asked him to do it and he's like, I guess so. And he did it. He's the one who figured out, you know, the household objects that'll work, designed the entire machine, figured out like the transition between, you know, what action triggers another action. He then built the machines, I'm assuming by himself, because it's not like he could work with other people to do it. So I'm assuming he built them by himself, shot test videos for the actors, and then sent them the pieces that they would then have to reassemble to set them up. And then they would just like film them. I think they said they filmed them like 10, 20, 30 times, depending on what they needed. Like the actors were the ones operating this. Like there wasn't anybody helping. So like to be an actor in this situation, being asked to do so much stuff, so wild to me. I don't know. I don't understand how you pull this off.
Well, and again, there's so much action, and the music starts to build. It starts to swell. First of all, Rachel starts it too soon, which of course she would.
Joke, though, yeah.
She starts it too soon, so it starts going. You can't stop it once it starts going. But CW hasn't joined the video, and we've got music swelling. There's so much energy. The actors are talking directly to the screen. Where's CW? We've got this frenetic energy, and CW comes on at the last second to have his piece go flawlessly through. And when I tell you, comparing story beats of a completely still shot of Ian and Poppy and this frenetic energy, the stakes couldn't be higher in the Poppy and Ian story. And we tell that story through inaction. The stakes could not be lower for this stupid machine, but we are telling it like it is a high-speed chase.
Yeah.
And just brilliant artwork on this.
God, it's so good. It's so satisfying to see it happen. And it is just such a wonder. I mean, it's just such a wonder because it's sort of like, even with the magic of filmmaking, knowing that they can edit stuff together, it's like they still had to do it though. Like it still had to work after editing it together. Like I can't even, I just cannot wrap my head around it. You have to watch it. It really is like a wonder to watch it. If you watch nothing else from this episode, at least like that one scene, it's such a cool thing to see on screen.
Guys. Okay, all right.
Guys.
Okay, fine.
Damn it, guys.
You know what I actually did?
Good, there, Jesus. Now, remember, this only works if we all do our part, okay? We get one shot at this. So don't fuck it up, Rachel. No one can hear you. It's paradise.
And it does have that sort of saccharine of like, are we all in this together, or is this sort of this thing against each other? And I could see how that would rub on you. But for this group of characters in this moment at this part of the lockdown and pandemic, I feel like it's earned, and I feel like it truly delivers. You've got a nice little audio cut of CW saying "fuck you, coronavirus" as the scene sort of wraps and closes.
That made me cringe when I first watched it a lot. That one definitely. I was just like, oh, come on. And now I'm sort of like, that's where we were at, though. It was just, I understand, but it is just sort of like, oh my God, of course you're going to say "fuck you, coronavirus." Fuck, way to be on the nose. But also, of course you're going to be on the nose. It makes sense. I have fully come around on this episode and gotten over my shit with it. It's just so funny.
It's interesting that made you cringe, because it stuck with me the first time seeing it too, and upon a few rewatches, because it's the only time they mentioned COVID.
That's so true. That is such a good point.
Otherwise, this could be a fictitious pandemic that just exists within this world. So I think the reason that it might have grated on you is that it was truly a fourth wall break.
That's true.
It was about these characters being in your reality, which they are not. This is not a real company. They aren't real people. This is fictitious. And for it to get that close to being real, I think that was effective. I laughed because I don't think anything F. Murray Abraham can do would upset me. I think he could read the phone book and I'd be happy.
Yeah, God, so good. I guess we didn't talk about the end of the Brad story.
Oh, right.
That's really the only other thing that's wrapped up in this, because he does end up losing anyway, even with his Street Fighter prowess, because he's just destined to lose everything, and he shaves his mustache and his eyebrow, and it's hilarious.
David, is that you? You look weird.
No, I look weird, okay?
Turtle.
Wait, is that David or Sandy Duncan?
But it'll go back in like 8 or 10 months. I don't know. Has anyone ever shaved their eyebrow? I don't know how long that takes. Does it grow back? Whatever. It doesn't matter. I feel bad that I lost the $300,000 for charity.
Oh, I already donated it.
What?
Yeah, I was always going to donate it.
What?
I doubled it.
Yo.
But what? Why? I thought you were opposed to giving away money.
No. I told you I need to get something out of it, which I did. Your dignity. That's $600,000 for charity. Way to go, David!
David, thanks, man. That's so great.
Thanks, guys.
Great little twist. I mean, you see it coming from a mile away, because David Brittlesby is such a loser. David Hornsby looks fantastic with only one eyebrow and no mustache. He looks like a thumb, which I believe is said. It's great. You also get a nice last minute of Lou teasing Rachel, who is trying to complain, but she has been muted. Right. And he says, no one can hear you. It's like heaven. Or maybe it's like paradise. It just, again, Lou's last line. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Can't fault him.
He is a guy who just wants to silence women as much as he can, so it makes sense. Totally checks out. Oh my God, yeah. It is a very satisfying, cathartic end to this. Even if you were cynical about it like I was, I do think that it's just like such a marvel to see all of that come together. And I mean, like, it is wild that they wrote this in 3 weeks, because it really is just an incredibly well-written episode. Everything makes sense from start to finish. There's like really clear arcs and stories for everybody. Very good, really fascinating, and just such an interesting time capsule of this particular point in time. Can't wait to see how it's revisited in the future.
Yeah, I'd be really, and I hope that someone is listening to podcast 20 years from now that comes back and discovers this and is like, I want to look at this ancient episode of television. As I do think that the longer we get from this, and the less attached someone is from living the experience these characters lived, the harder and harder this is going to be to feel. Versus something like Connection Lost, because we can all understand communicating on a device. Even a novel device like Claire's was in 2015. But this I feel like is going to age, and so I think it needed to be talked about while it was here. Mythic Quest is a timeless show. This episode I think won't remain on the shelf as long as the rest of the episodes.
Yeah, for sure. Any other closing thoughts or anything you have about the show before we wrap up?
Just that we all lived through an experience together, but it's an experience that folks continue to live through. So if you haven't read more about the pandemic and the way in which it infected especially marginalized folks, I would make a pitch to Stephen Thrasher's The Viral Underclass, probably one of the best written books about the way in which how we experience the pandemic might be a lot different than how the pandemic was experienced by those on the downside of power.
Yeah, great plug. I love that. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's almost like the pandemic isn't actually over.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, thank you so much. I know this is not an easy conversation to be digging deep into the COVID-19 on a TV podcast. So I appreciate you and all your insight into this in this very complicated episode. Is there anything that you want to plug, anywhere that you would like to be found online? Also, okay, if you want people to leave you alone, that's fine too.
No, for me complaining about how my bagel order was unsatisfactorily fulfilled, you can follow me on Twitter at dmuma22. That's DMUMA22. I have the original DMuma, I just don't know how to log into it. And hopefully I'll be making a video game in the next year, so I will post there about that. Yeah, it's my next project.
Very relevant to this show.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you again so much. It was a joy. If you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at Derek B. Gale, or on my other podcast, Swallowing Web Snappers, Spider-Man podcast that does deep dives into every Spider-Man cartoon ever made, and Falling with Style, an ongoing Pixar movie marathon, which is a monthly podcast diving into every Pixar film chronologically. If you want to support this show by giving a little tip, you can buy me a coffee at ko-fi.com/gimmickspod. And you can also follow this podcast at GimmicksPod on Twitter and Instagram for some extra goodies, and email me your questions, feedback, and corrections to gimmicspodcast@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe on all podcast platforms. And until next time, friends, keep being weird.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try.
No hell below us.
Above us only sky. Imagine all the people
living for today. Yeah.
Imagine there's no countries, yeah. It isn't hard to do.
Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living for today.
Man, I look huge. I look like massive.